The most valuable lessons in life are often learned in hindsight. As human beings, we are born into a world full of noise, full of distractions, full of voices calling us in every direction. From an early age, we are taught to chase success, to stand out, to make something of ourselves. And while there's nothing wrong with ambition or goals, the tragedy lies in what we leave behind in that chase. In our early years, we believe we are invincible. We think our strength, our youth, and our potential will carry us forever. We postpone love, we postpone kindness, we postpone forgiveness, all with the belief that we will have more time. But the clock never asks for our permission to keep ticking. And one day, we look around and realize that the people who once waited for us have moved on. The moments we once ignored are now gone. And the opportunities we assumed would last have slipped quietly into the past. We spend so much of our youth chasing things that look good on the outside, titles, status, possessions, while ignoring the things that hold true value. A child doesn't remember how much money their parent made. They remember whether they were held, whether they were listened to. A friend doesn't value us for our achievements, but for whether we were there in times of need. A life well lived is not one that is admired from afar, but one that has been felt deeply by those close to us. Yet we learn that too late. Too often, we learn the importance of relationships only when they are broken. We realize the value of time when we've run out of it. We understand the meaning of words we never said only when there's no one left to say them to. So many of us wake up one day in the middle of our lives, surrounded by the very things we once believed would satisfy us, and yet we feel empty. We start asking different questions, not how high can I climb, but how deep have I lived? Not how much did I earn, but how well did I love? Not what did I possess, but what did I give? These are the questions that come to us when we've seen enough of life to understand what it really demands of us. And yet, so few are given the wisdom early enough to answer them in time. Think of the way we measure success. We often admire those who seem to have it all together. The perfect career, the polished image, the social recognition. But behind the scenes, many of those people would trade their trophies for peace, their applause for rest, their followers for just one real friend. We don't see it until much later, if at all. We don't understand that the greatest achievements in life are not measured by resumes or bank statements, but by how much of our heart we've poured into others. The quiet sacrifices, the acts of compassion, the moments when we chose truth over popularity. These are the things that last, but we only begin to value them after the crowd has moved on, after the awards are forgotten, after the lights go out. So many people spend their lives climbing ladders only to realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. They reach the top only to find the view is not what they hoped. And it's then, in that stillness, that the real questions begin to speak. What legacy am I leaving? Who did I become? Did I choose kindness when it was costly? Did I forgive, even when I had the right to stay bitter? Did I spend my time wisely, not just efficiently, but meaningfully? And while the lesson may come late, it doesn't have to be wasted. Because the beauty of realization is that it can still lead to redemption. Even if we've walked 1,000 steps in the wrong direction, All it takes is one step to turn around. One decision to begin living differently. One act of humility to begin healing. Wisdom may arrive late, but if we receive it with open hands, it still has the power to change everything that comes next. And so, if you are hearing this and your heart is stirring, pay attention. Don't wait for the loss to teach you the value of what you have. Don't wait for regret to show you what truly matters. Learn now what so many only learn too late. Because the earlier you know what counts, the more of your life you'll actually live. We live in a world that constantly tells us what to chase. From the time we're young, we're given a list of goals. Get good grades, go to the right school, land a high-paying job, build a name, gain followers, earn respect. The messages are loud and persistent. Success is in achievement, happiness is in possession, fulfillment is in admiration. And so, with energy and enthusiasm we run. We run after the titles, the recognition, the applause. We work longer hours, take on more responsibilities, and try harder to be what the world says we must be. But what we don't realize until far too late is that the soul speaks in a different language than the world. And while the world rewards productivity, the soul craves peace. While the world praises achievement, the soul hungers for meaning. And while the world cheers for the loudest voice, the soul is drawn to stillness and truth. Too often, people spend decades climbing ladders that others told them to climb. They become experts in areas they never truly loved. They succeed in industries they never questioned. They grow into someone they thought they were supposed to be, only to look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. What they wanted at the core of being was not more trophies on the shelf, but more peace in their heart. They didn't need to be seen by thousands. They needed to be known deeply by a few. They didn't want to compete. They wanted to connect. But those things were drowned out by the noise. And by the time they began to hear what their soul had been saying all along, they had already spent years in pursuit of something that never satisfied them. There's a reason why people who seem to have it all often feel the most empty, because what the world gives can never fill what the soul needs. Approval is temporary. Praise fades. Wealth comes and goes. And success, as it is defined by the culture around us, always demands more. It's never enough. But the soul doesn't measure success in numbers. It measures it in depth, in truth, in love, in purpose. We learn, often too late, that we were not made to chase things. We were made to carry light. And the greatest people among us are not always the ones with the most impressive resumes, but those who walk humbly, serve quietly, love deeply, and live authentically. There is a sacredness to simplicity that our world has forgotten. Slowing down, listening carefully, being present. These are not signs of weakness or laziness. They are signs of wisdom. And while the world pushes us to do more and be more, the soul reminds us that it's not what we accomplish, but who we become that matters most. When you stand at the end of your life, it won't be the awards or the bank accounts you think about. It will be the moments when you laughed with someone you loved. The times you chose grace instead of revenge. The quiet evenings when you were fully alive in the present moment. These are the treasures of the soul, and they cost nothing. but we often don't discover their worth until everything else has lost its shine. There's also a danger in living only for the approval of others. It's subtle, but powerful. We change our behavior to be liked. We silence our true convictions to avoid being judged. We smile when we want to cry, and in the process, we betray ourselves little by little. We become a version of ourselves that fits in, instead of the version that was born to stand out. The truth of the soul is that authenticity is more powerful than popularity. But we learn that too late, after years of pretending, of performing, of hiding. Only then do we begin to understand that the deepest peace comes not from being admired, but from being real. And finally, we learn that fulfillment is found not in taking, but in giving. Not in how much we've stored up, but in how much we've poured out. The happiest people are not always the ones with the most, but those who live with open hands and open hearts. They forgive when it's hard. They give when it hurts. They love without conditions. They serve when no one is watching. And they walk through life with a quiet joy that the world cannot explain. Because their joy doesn't come from the world. It comes from within. These are the truths that are often discovered too late. But if you can hear them now, let them take root. Because once you learn them, truly learn them, you can never go back to living the old way again. And that, perhaps, is the beginning of real life. So, ladies and gentlemen, if your heart has stirred at any point in these words, don't ignore it. Don't wait for life to slow you down to see what really matters. Don't wait for regret to become your teacher. Listen now, while there's still time, still breath, still opportunity. What the world says is important will change with every season, but what your soul needs has never changed. Choose depth over display. Choose truth over approval. Choose love over pride. And choose purpose over performance. Because the richest life is not the one most admired. It's the one most aligned with what's eternal. May we not have to learn these lessons too late. Thank you.